Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Spectrum and today we're going to be watching the Dev Diary for Midnight Murder Club Early Access Roadmap Chat. Let's get into this and see what they have in store for us.
Like, what are you most excited about when the game comes out? How are you going to play when the game first comes out?
I mean, playing with strangers, it's always amazing to hear someone that you haven't been playing with for the last year, or someone who you don't know, and you don't know how they are going to react to the game. I have more experience in the mansion and in the dark, so you get to play with them a little bit, like purposely shoot around them just to scare them, open and close doors next to them just to get them to turn their flashlight on and freak them out.
That is pretty funny because it would scare me. I don't know if it would scare you, but it's such a neat feeling when you're in the dark and you hear the doors opening around you.
You almost get to pretend that you're like a ghost in a haunted house for them.
How much do you actually know the mansion to be able to navigate it
this is interesting.
in complete darkness?
I can't.
It's embarrassing when I get lost, and I get lost often. Pretty much always in the center of the mansion, in the two libraries where the vault is.
Oh, so that's a library? I didn't realize that. I like the room with the candles on the floor.
I spawn in there and I'm like, I want to head to the main hall, I will always walk in the wrong direction. But if I'm on the edges, I can figure it out a lot easier. But that center bit, I just get so confused and turned around.
I get lost all the time, but I don't have nearly as much time in the mansion as you do.
Yeah, no.
I think it would be neat if we could get not in game, but we could see the mansion with the lights on. That way we could kind of learn the map a little bit easier. That might take away some of the mystery, but that would be neat to be able to see it.
No, it's not embarrassing at all for you.
Right.
It's normal for you to get lost.
But the game's launch is at this point around the corner.
Uh-huh.
And we've talked a lot about the concept of open development. And so I'm curious what you think.
The thing that I think about a lot is things come from people. Every game I've made has come from a team of people, and they worked on it and they made decisions and they had time limits and they had to stop working on it at some point. And all of those decisions we can't really expose to you. We can't put in the manual Eric's dev diary of why that jump is a little too hard. But now we can do that. And I think it's important for people to understand why decisions are made. You can watch a movie, you can play a game, you can read a book, anything like that, and you can be like, why did they do this? And instead of that question just being left open, I'd love to be able to answer it and speak to it and try to give people some understanding. I mean, I don't know how games are made. I know how games I work on are made, but I don't know how other ones are made. I don't know if, am I solving unique problems, or is everyone going through all these same issues? And if there's somebody out there who's interested in what it's like to make games, or just because they want to make them themselves, or they just want to know about things, it would be great to be someone who can help, pull back that curtain a little bit. Ultimately, a bunch of strangers are going to play, and they're going to have ways they like to play. And I'm really interested in learning how they like to play. If I can hear that and have that conversation, those are going to be things that I've never thought about, the team's never thought about, and then they'll work their way back in.
I like that they're open to the community, our thoughts, our insights, our suggestions, maybe.
To the game, though, they'll just make the game better.
Like what we did in the Knockout City days, where we would keep everything very under wraps, and then we would reveal a new season, and it's this season is now out there. It's not that we can't patch things and make updates in the future, but it's still, it was very segmented in what we would announce and when. Something like this is more conversational, where it's not necessarily that we and the community are playing equal parts in the development, but it is more of a call and response, where we are saying, hey, we think this would be fun, or hey, we added this new thing, you should give it a try. Mm-hmm. And they let us know what they think.
Right. Yeah. And I what I'm hoping for is that the conversation is, like you said, is two ways. If somebody said to me, I think one hit kill ruins the game, I would like to say to them, here's why I think one hit kill should be in the game. Here's why we made that decision, and why it was important to us at the time.
I think one hit kill makes the game a ton more fun, because you never know. I mean, you're just going to get hit and you're dead. or you're gonna one hit someone. I think it makes it a lot more fun.
Not to say that no one can convince me otherwise of certain things. What I hope is that there can just be an understanding between both parties, and the conversation just keeps going.
Because that's really the point of early access, right? That we're like starting this explicitly saying this is a fun core of a game, but we're not considering this game finished yet. Like there's more that we want to do.
This is as far as we can take it in this phase of development, which is the secretive phase, the one where we just do it all internally. But especially with a multiplayer party game, you need people playing it and experiencing it and giving you
Guys,
and
it
giving
is
you
a
that
ton of fun
feedback.
if you haven't
So
played it
this
yet.
next phase of development is very important to that 1.0.
And as we're thinking about this, I know we've kind of talked about what the cadence of updates looks like, and that we want to have, we want to be able to fix those bugs when they come in. We want to fix that stuff quickly and small quality of life tweaks that we can. But then we also want to provide new content along the way, and we want to give people a look into that. And that's the whole reason that we're talking today, is I want to talk about the roadmap a little bit.
The roadmap.
What I really like about the roadmap also is this is the next thing that we're working towards right now. So if anybody says or asks, because they're honestly curious, why aren't you working on this? We can say, because we've already started working on this, and this is the way game development works. So we will get to that, and we can put it farther ahead in the roadmap. So if it's very, very important to you, we can let you know why it's not being worked on right now, and potentially when it's coming up. It needs trust. It needs trust for the players in us that we're going to get to concerns, but before we can get to some of those concerns, we need to get to this next bit that we want to try. And that's what hopefully the roadmap is for.
Let's talk about the roadmap then.
Okay.
We have a smaller update that we're hoping to hit about a month after release, sometime in April. And in that, we got 2 headline updates there, being bot improvements and new wildcards.
Right.
So do you want to talk about both of those a little bit?
Sure. So bots were not supposed to be in our first early access launch. Those were
I love the way the bots chat with you, and like whistle and the way they talk. It adds a lot to the game. I'm glad that they have those in.
going to be an update much later on.
Yeah, we actually haven't talked about those outside of like randomly kind of dropping the seed in a couple interviews and never officially announced them.
Yeah. So we have bots.
Surprise.
We didn't know how much work that was going to be. So we kind of put it off. We had bots from Knockout City, but no one had touched that code in a while, and we were afraid that it had like degraded over time because it hadn't been upkept, and it was going to be a huge lift. Doug, the lead engineer on the project, he took this on, and he got bots working within like a week. It was surprising that it happened so quickly. Over the next week after that, we played bots a lot, and we got a lot of feedback from it, and he improved them. They're not going to trick you into thinking that they're real humans, but they also will not just roll over. They do put up a fight. I lose to them frequently. But for 2 weeks of work, it's pretty amazing. And we got them playing Team Deathmatch and Free-for-All. We wanted to get it in for early access because we wanted people playing it as soon as possible to see what we're going for. Where are they good? Where are they bad? What can we improve? One thing we know that we want to improve is they currently don't know how to use toys.
Oh, so, I didn't know that.
That's like first on the list of things that we want to improve.
This goes back to what you were saying before, that we just don't fully know, and some of this is kind of what we're suspecting, that we know some people have asked, like, oh, is there a way that I can play this by myself?
Well, from the feedback and from our assumptions are there are some people who want to play in a way where they can learn the game a little bit better and not do it live surrounded by strangers. That's what bots are good for. You play against bots, you learn the game more. But there's also some people who they only like playing with their friends, but they don't have a big enough friend group to fill it out to a full 6. So that's what bots are there for. They're there to help fill it out. Or even there's just some people who that's all they want to do, is they just want to go around in the dark playing against bots. They have no interest in playing in a public match.
And speaking of assumptions, Wildcards was a very last-minute addition to the game that is just like, can we actually make this happen in time for launch? And we somehow managed to get it in. And we think that it's super fun, but
it is super
we're
fun.
Hoping that
the
community agrees. And if so, we got, 3 different spots on this roadmap. There are spots for new Wildcards to come.
The team that plays your game the most is your QA team. And they played a lot of Wildcards. And every session that they had, somebody would message me or the team and be like, just so you know, we just played wild card and everybody had a great time.
I've played it quite a few times.
Usually when you
It's
get a
so
message
good.
from QA, it's to tell you that you broke something. So it was very nice to hear that we didn't break something, that we made something better. As we got closer to launch for early access, we had a company-wide play session where we got feedback from people on that, and they had a lot of fun. So yeah, the assumption is if we're all having fun, other people will have fun as well. And if that's true, then we should plan. So the plan for the first update is to make another pack of wild cards to supplement the ones that are there. I'm trying to make some of them a little weirder just to show you. Again, it's all about we're trying something here. So when we put the really weird ones in, it's like,
I want to hear about the
play
weird
them.
ones.
Let us know, because we're trying something. We're trying to make a game that stays true to the pitch, the idea of Midnight Murder Club, which is you in the dark, alone, flashlight, gun, and the tension that brings.
Can you give some examples of both the more normal ones that might be coming down the road as well as the weirder ones? Knowing that they might not come. That's the whole idea of open development, that
Sure.
we're talking about this stuff when it may or may not happen.
One of them, it sounds like a really simple card, but it's a card that when it's played, it locks the mansion off to just one floor. When you're playing a game, with only three
so it makes the
people,
map smaller.
The entire mansion is a very large space. So if you're just
Yeah.
locked the first floor, that cuts the hiding places in half, and it makes for a much faster game. We have a card that, when it's played, creates two very bright, floaty, like spirits that float through the rooms, and
That
cast
is
a
not- I
huge
like
amount
that.
of light. And the idea is, you could be hiding in a room, and then in comes this super bright light that just lights up, casts shadows everywhere, and now your hiding spot is completely destroyed. We played it quite a bit.
That is
and
so
I like
fun.
that it speaks to a piece of feedback that we've gotten since the beginning of the game, which is there's not enough light. But again, the thing that we were trying was, no, there is none. So if you want more light, you have to play this card. I think I have it listed as a blessing, but it's kind of like a curse. It's a blurse, I guess.
A blurse.
You got the light you wanted, but not
can't
now,
hide
not
now.
now. Like, leave the room, please leave.
PvE mode. Tell me about that.
This
I wanna hear about this.
Again, coming from conversations we'd had with people and the feedback we'd read, as well as there's this thing that kind of happens when you're making a game. While you're working on it, at some point, the game kind of tells you what it needs. You have a game like Midnight Murder Club, you're alone, you're in the dark. And when we added Free For All, which is our first game mode, and then we put in Team Deathmatch, it changed the game in ways that we weren't expecting. Having a partner in game severely ramps down the tension because you've got a partner in crime. You've got somebody in the shadows with you.
Yeah, you got somebody
but
helping.
It makes you talk more because you're talking to your friend.
And then people can
when
hear
talk
you.
more, other people hear it. So not only is your tension down, but you're chatting and you're having a wonderful conversation with Josh, and then in comes somebody else and shoots you. So when we were playing with our friends, we were like, well, I kind of want to do this with everybody. I want to do this with all my friends. I don't like shooting my friends. It makes me feel bad. So what if we made a PvE game mode? So our current thinking, and this is very early, and it might change, is that it's a game where you and your friends, you're on the same team, and the enemy team is made up of bots. And in wave one, they're kind of dumb. They keep their flashlight on too much. They make a lot of sound, and they're pretty easy to get. But after a couple of waves, you're given a choice where you have to choose a blessing and a curse, just like wild cards. The blessing helps you, the curse helps them. So it's this almost like roguelite-y thing of every time you play, you're going to be presented with different cards every couple of rounds, which is going to change the game for you and for the bots. So by the end of the game, you'll have had this really weird experience. And then if you play again, those cards might never come up again. So you'll have a completely different experience, opening to, hopefully, really great replayability.
So we have two
that's a
other
great
things on this roadmap. New toys is pretty self-explanatory, but do we have any ideas of what
They
might
have
be
great
coming?
toys so
We have
far.
a couple of ideas. This is going to be bad, but there's one I don't want to talk about because I think it's too good.
Wonder
and
what
I
that
really want
is.
to surprise people with it. So, sorry. But I'll talk about the other one. The other one that sounds really fun. The toy that we're looking towards is a water balloon filled with glow-in-the-dark paint. And every surface it hits will have this glow-in-the-dark paint on it. And if you hit a person with it, that paint will be stuck to them. So they can't hide in the dark anymore.
And it's stuck to them the rest of the match.
Leave little glowing footprints so you can chase them down. Yep. Mm-hmm. But if you have a completely pitch black room,
that looks great.
but one of the walls is glowing in the dark.
You see the
If
silhouette,
a person
right?
steps in front of that, it's basically like them being lit up. If you are silhouetted by it, you're a target. Again, it's that play of how do you add light to the game without just turning the lights on, and that's why we think this toy is going to be really fun.
We're about to get this game in the hands of many people,
Billions.
hopefully many people, and it is so easy for people to just be like, hey, this would be a fun idea for a wild card, this would be a fun toy. Even if those ideas aren't what we end up going towards, they might be things that we end up becoming inspired by and think about in a different way. Like, I know that that's already even happened just in how we have settled on a lot of the wild cards that we have today.
Right. I mean, I'll give you an example. We had a card that gave everybody permanent night vision.
Ooh.
We're like, oh yeah, that's definitely something.
Why would we do
want.
that?
We gave it and we played with it, and I was like, wait a minute, we just made a first-person shooter. Like,
Yeah, it
this completely betrays what Midnight Murder Club is.
Yeah.
So we got rid of that card. Like, that's not
Good job.
That's not what the game is trying to be. And then
dark
just the
is
other
what
day,
makes it so much
Josh
fun.
had an idea for a card.
That's me.
Well, what was his idea?
Josh had an idea for a card, which was when you have your flashlight on, you get super speed. He called it light speed.
I actually started with the
nice.
name and worked backwards from there
You're
to
a
give you an
designer.
insight
You've done
into my
it. You've done it,
process.
yeah. He just said, what about this idea for a card? And as soon as he said it, I was like, oh my God, that is such a better idea than what we currently have out there, which is a card that just gives you infinite super speed just from the start. And it, in a way, betrays Midnight Murder Club again, which is you alone in the dark with a flashlight. But if you put the power up behind something like turning your flashlight on, which now makes you vulnerable, so much more says this is a
Makes it
card
more
built
fun.
for Midnight Murder Club.
So there's one last thing
Yeah.
on the list for custom games. And that can mean a lot of things. When we were working on this graphic, I asked you, hey, what does custom games mean? Because I wasn't entirely sure.
So custom games, this is an idea mostly that came from Dog the Lead Engineer. The idea is that you and your friends, you go into a private game, and we give you every wild card plus ones only created for the custom game mode, and you can play as many as you want. Asterisk, we don't know quite yet if it can be anything, because if you play every single card, who knows if that'll crash the game, but you'll be able to play a lot of them. And the idea is that you'll have so much control over what that game is that you'll be able to create your
It's
own
just a
game
fun
modes.
time with your friends.
We have played internally, and we've seen people playing straight up hide and go seek. They say, don't shoot your gun. The idea is go hide, and when the timer hits this time, I'm going to come find you. And if you get to the main hall, shoot your gun once, and then I'll know. That's like you shouting "Ollie, Ollie, Oxenfree." The idea is you'd be able to actually create that game mode and then play
that's
with your
cool.
friends. So you'd get rid of the gun, you'd get rid of all bullets, and then you'd make one person on their own team, and the rest of the people would be on another team. And maybe say you want the person who has who's it to have speed boost. Okay, play that card and put it on that team. So anybody on that team gets infinite speed boost.
That's fun.
So now you're making a game mode. So that's the idea behind custom game modes. It's a ways off, but we've been thinking about it a lot. That's like really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
We're like days away from this new early access open development world, and it
not
is
scary.
exciting and scary at the same time. But I mean, that's the game. That's Midnight Murder Club. It's
Yeah,
exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah. We're really hoping you enjoy it, and we're really hoping that you
I
join
do.
the Discord and you come chat, say hi, ask questions, let us know what you think. It's really important.
Wow. So that was pretty neat to be able to see what's coming in the future for the game. Guys, if you haven't played Midnight Murder Club, it is so much fun. It's on PlayStation 5 and PC. And if you have either one of those platforms and you want to try it out, come to one of my streams. I'll leave the links in the description, and you are welcome to play with me on using my buddy code system. And you just have to download the Guest Pass edition from whatever, from Steam or from PlayStation store. And so you can play with me and see if you like the game. And that's about it. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, do all the YouTube stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Be good to each other.